Hold on, can we get a face card check? It's giving. Hey Brats, welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I will be discussing how to better yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually for the remainder of your life. If you want to stay tuned for some tips and essentials to be that girl and remain that girl, be sure to keep watching this video. Okay, I do just want to get right into it. So the first essential that I will say is that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. And yes, that's kind of cliche. Everybody says that, but it's the truth when it applies to your life. Me personally, I can say for myself that I started in kind of a rough patch. I recently graduated college. Shout out to the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. I thought that after college, I had this idea that you were just gonna get your job offer, you were gonna start your job, you were just gonna be living your life after graduation. And for some people that's true, but for me that was not true. And I was getting a bunch of just denied applications. I wasn't getting the jobs I wanted to, and I started applying to jobs that I knew I was overqualified for, but at this point I was going to take anything I could get my hands on. So I was dealing with that kind of disappointment of being a recent college graduate. I also strayed very far away from God. I grew up in a heavy Christian household, and I always had a relationship with God. I will say that moving to a different state by myself led me to backslid, and in other words, get turned out. I wasn't used to a lot of things before I got to Georgia. So when I did reach Georgia and experience a bunch of things, I realized that I was in an environment where I was in touch with everything, and just everything was just like hit me like a whirlwind. So I definitely, I was gonna say I stopped going to church slowly, but I stopped going to church. I stopped praying. I stopped reading my Bible. I stopped just anything. Wasn't even praying over my food, y'all. So it became really bad for me spiritually. And also physically, I'm not gonna be honest, y'all. I was eating fried food all the time, fast food. I wasn't eating right. And I was saying, like, you know what? I'm a small girl, I'm a petite girl. It doesn't matter what I eat because I'm not gonna gain weight. Wrong. Wrong. So it doesn't matter where you start off. You can start off in a good place, you can start off in a okay place where you can still kind of pick yourself up, or you can start off in a terrible place where you have to pick yourself up from the bottom. But that's why there's always this saying that I say, when you get to your lowest point, there's only way messed up. But when you get to your lowest point, the only way to go from there is up. So keep in mind, one thing you need to know for bettering yourself is that it doesn't matter where you start, it always matters how you finish. And not even how you finish, but how you continue to keep living your life. So the first thing that I do want to touch on is how to better yourself spiritually. So the first key essential is to make sure that you get a relationship spiritually in whatever way that you can. I'm saying this because I can only give my personal experience. I'm not telling everybody to go ahead and, guys, I have like OCD, so I had to do that. But I'm not telling everybody to go ahead and go to God and do this, even though I would want you to, but it's just my personal thing. I'm gonna respect what you believe in, what you don't believe in, what your boundaries are, and just like what you prefer. So I will just say this going forward for the rest of the video. This is just my personal journey and how I better myself. So you don't have to take everything I say and have to do it, but I can only give you what I'm doing. So one thing that I am doing right now to get myself back into God, because I didn't want to just like jump right back into church, because I kind of want to learn God on my own first so I can be solid in whatever church I go to, or even if I don't end up going to church as much as I used to. I used to go to church. I used to go to church probably like 4 out of 7 days of the week, maybe 4 or 5 days out of the week. So it was just really, I was heavily in church, so now I'm trying to learn it for myself. But one thing that I say did help me is my devotional. I got gifted to it when I first went to church, when I first reached Atlanta in 2019, I believe. I was going to church and I got gifted a devotional by Pastor William Murphy. It's called Praying Through It, Volume 2. I'm just going to put it right here so that you guys can see it. But yeah, I started reading that devotional because I did want something inspirational to wake up to and kind of start my day with. And at first, I read it like, okay, I'm going to give it a chance. It's, I'm just going to see how it feels. I know other people read devotionals and it may not be for me, but it turned out that the first devotional I read spoke to me. It spoke to like where I was in life, doubting myself, doubting my life, doubting myself just overall as a person. And I'm like, like, how did I know I was going to pick up this book today and read this specific part and know that this was going to help me with my mindset going forward and what I'm going to like do? Starting the day, starting the week, starting situations and doors that are closing, opening for me. So it just allowed me to say, I'm just gonna give this a chance. And the more I read my devotion, the more it just applied to my life. It didn't matter what I was doing today. It could be, I could have been sitting at home, chilling. I could have just made something to eat, and it would be like, you know what? Whatever you're eating today, and I'd sit there and be like, how is this speaking to me like this? So I kept on reading it, and then I started going back to a lot of preachers that I used to watch when I was younger who kind of just like spoke to me specifically. I'm not saying you have to go watch these preachers, but I'll just say one is Joel Osteen. He starts with this joke and then he just gives you an uplifting message, and that's just all I needed. I didn't need like a bunch of theatrics. I didn't need the extras, but I did need something that just spoke to me. And that's what your spiritual journey is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about what speaks to you, what you're comfortable with, what you align with. Even if you're not the type of person to go to church every day, or you're not the type of person to read devotionals, or you're not even the type of person to watch something, or just whatever you align with, that's what you stick with. So be sure to just make sure you have that spiritual journey. You also want to make sure that you're taking care of your physical so that your mental can improve as well. Now, a lot of times when people say that, you look at yourself like, okay, like, girl, everybody says that. Like, that's the most cliche thing to say ever. I thought it was too. I'm not going to lie. I was one of those people who are like, all right, cool. Eats a 10 piece. But no, I'm telling you, okay, so back to my personal experience, I have always been a slim girl. I've always been petite. When I was younger, I was thick and bones. When I got to college, I think around my freshman, sophomore year, I started gaining weight. My freshman 15 was more like a freshman 10. So I was never like a big person. I was always slim. So I always thought like, I don't have to eat like salads, and I don't want to be typical and say salads, but I just in general, I don't have to eat all this healthy food and this, that, and the third because I am slim. Like, I can eat anything, it's gonna come right out of me, and I'm not gonna gain any weight. And I thought I was right for a while. And I will say I was wrong. I will say I definitely started gaining weight, but before I even started gaining weight, one thing you have to realize is that when you're eating these foods, this is why you have this low energy. That's why people have these things called the itis. Like, you eat this food and you want to go to sleep. Why? Because it's bringing your body down. Say like energy wise, you're eating like a 5-piece from Popeyes, mashed potatoes. You get the mashed potatoes, you get the mac and cheese. Sometimes I used to get an extra side. Most of the time I used to get an extra side, but that's besides the point. So you're eating all this food and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I feel tired, I just want to lay down. And you might think that's like an okay thing, but when you start putting in foods that kind of uplift your mood and gives you more energy for the day, you're gonna be less likely to miss out on opportunities that you could have had beforehand. Let's just say, just out of nowhere, I'm not gonna say this happened to me specifically, but let's just say you ate this food that was really fat and oily, greasy and salty, and could potentially give you some high blood pressure and some high cholesterol that your family has. You know, you're supposed to be breaking the cycle. But let's say you eat that and you miss out on this open call for a job that was only for that time because you were asleep and you didn't feel like going because you had that low energy. Maybe if you ate something that was better, even like something like a Caesar wrap. Chicken Caesar wrap is a great meal and it's still really good. And you have that energy, you're gonna be able to go to that interview that you would have missed if you were eating those fatty foods. And then you want to think for later on in life. Do you want to continue that cycle and be that family member who carries on that diabetes or the high blood pressure or the high cholesterol? You want to make sure that your physical is okay so that you can be okay. The better you feel about yourself, the better you're gonna feel mentally. You're gonna look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, girl. Because like I said, let's go back to it. I did start gaining weight. I started gaining weight, and once I started gaining weight, I kind of was like, Okay, you're not that skinny girl anymore. You're starting to get your grown woman weight and it's starting to kick in. You want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself before it's too late. Because I'm telling you guys, now I'm in the process of going to the gym. That's another thing. Going to the gym. I've been going to the gym consistently and I'm so proud of myself because I never did. But once you have that mindset, it's going to be like a ball. I was going to say a ball, but a walk in the park. So I started going to the gym because I kind of let my stomach just get bigger. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was just this skinny girl. And all of a sudden, I'm Big Mama. And not in a good way. So you just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself physically, even the stuff that you're drinking. Right now, because I'm a little parched, give me a second. Right now, I've been drinking just strictly water. I will drink juice time from time, but water is my main diet. You want to make sure that you're drinking water because water is inside your body. You want to make sure you sweat throughout the day, you tear up, you cry, you're letting water out. So you have to put that water back in. And I'm not gonna say that you can't eat that 5-piece or that 2-piece that you used to eat anymore. If I want to go eat a 2-piece tomorrow, I might. I'm not gonna try not to, but I might. I'm just saying be moderate in what you're eating and how you're treating yourself. Make sure when you're treating yourself, you're not saying, oh, let me treat myself. And then you end up treating yourself the next day. And then the next day where it's not a treat anymore. Just make sure that you are eating stuff in moderation and that you are taking care of your physical. Because when you look good, you feel good, literally. I've also been doing this thing where even if I'm not going out, I'm gonna do my makeup, I'm gonna do my hair, because you don't want to be in the house just in your bonnet, hair looking crazy, face looking crazy. Even if you're not into makeup, wash your face. Wash your face. Just put on some moisturizing lotion. Just do anything that will make you feel better about yourself, because once you look better, you will feel better. And all my girls know this. You're like, oh my God, I'm really going through it. Does your makeup, does your hair. I don't know what was wrong with me, girl. I'm good now. So make sure you're taking care of that physical. And the last thing that I just wanted to touch on was we spoke about spiritually, we spoke about physically. Now let's speak about mentally. So one thing I do a lot is that I had so much time being in the house, not working. I had other things going on, but when those things stopped, I realized how I truly felt about myself. I was always out because I do live in Atlanta, like I said. So I was always out. I was at some type of party. I was at some type of club. If I wasn't at the club or a party, I was drinking heavily. That also led me to my weight gain. So make sure you don't end up having a beer gut. I don't have a beer gut that much, but it can definitely go down. But anyway, before I got sidetracked, when I kind of had the time to kind of stop doing it for a little bit, and I can't tell you how it's going to stop for you. For me, it was more of a mindset one time when I was in the club and I was just looking around and I was like, yeah, no. Like, I'm just looking around like, oh my gosh, it's the same cycle every day that we're living in. So I don't know what's it gonna take for you. It might take for something traumatic to happen. It might take for something positive to happen, or it might just be like me where it just hits you out of nowhere. But once I stopped drinking as much, because then I kind of stopped drinking, partially because I wasn't trying to spend that much money on alcohol anymore, and partially because I'm like, okay, I don't want to drink anymore. I'm kind of like feeling sick every time I'm waking up because I just drank the night before and all this, that, and third. And I realized that I didn't feel the greatest about myself. And the reason why I kept drinking and the reason why I was doing, all those things, going to the club, is because I was trying to mask how I really felt on the inside. And it wasn't the best place for me. Oh my God, y'all, I thought I was gonna start tearing up, right? But it wasn't the best place for me. It was kind of in a point where I didn't hate myself, but I was really, really, really disappointed in myself. And I was disappointed on how far I let myself go. And I started thinking of what I was talking about before, like me just drinking and gaining weight and me going out to the club and me just how I treated people and how I became the girl who I never wanted to be. So when I had the time to sit down and kind of be in my room for a couple of days and really just be like, oh my gosh, like this is what you're turning into. And if you don't stop this now, then you're going to keep hating yourself. Not hating. And for some people, it might be hating. For some people, it might be dislike. For some people, it's just but you're not content. You're gonna be honest with yourself and know when you take a break from things that kind of mask it, that you're not content. And what you can do sometimes, or not even what you can do, but sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need that moment to sit there and be like, I don't like myself anymore. I don't like how my life is going. I don't like how I've been living. Even if I'm not doing anything as bad as other people and I kind of try to compare myself, if I'm not comparing myself and I look strictly at me, am I gonna like my life? Am I going to just be comfortable being me without any comparison? So I found myself comparing myself to others, but then after I stopped comparing myself to others, it was worse. It was even with no comparison. Even though you might try to always do this thing where it's like, oh, but this person's doing this, so I'm good. No, because if you just look straight forward, like tunnel vision, you're not gonna love yourself. If you're in a place like me, you might be in a place where you love yourself and that's why you better yourself. But for me, I was not loving myself. I wasn't taking care of myself. So make sure you take that time mentally to figure yourself out. Figure out who you used to be, figure out who you were recently, and then figure out what you're going to be. Plan what you're going to be. Take the time and figure out, okay, let me become this person. And that's why you need those three essential things of spiritually, physically, and mentally. Because me personally, like I said, I'm not gonna keep saying you, I'm saying you out of habit, but I did all of this because this was my personal journey. So I just wanna make sure that you guys just take the time and do whatever you need to do. Some people journal, some people meditate, some people take walks, some people just do breathing exercises and become better. Whatever you need to do mentally. And for me, it was talking to myself. That was mine. I'll say that for me. I talked to myself. I made sure that I had a conversation with myself and I sat in my room. And even if I wasn't talking out loud, like a crazy person, I was just kind of in my reign and just looking around because I was letting a lot of stuff guide me. Social media, looking at different people and different people, and just different influencers, celebrity, everything I saw, I was letting that guide me. So make sure you do whatever you have to do. I had conversations with myself, and you might write something down, take a walk, just do whatever you need to do for your physical journey, because then when you get those three essential things aligned, I'm gonna tell you guys, I feel so much better. I feel so much better about myself. I am starting to do my makeup because that's what I love to do. So I'm not saying you have to do it like I said, but I've been starting to work out consistently. I've been getting back closer to God. So now I've been going to the parts where I can listen to better music. I've been eating better. I've just been feeling so much better about myself. And although I don't have the job that I want, now I know that it will come, and I know that things will get better because I'm bettering myself. So yeah. So I did not mean for this video to be this long, but I do hope that it did help somebody. I just want to leave off by saying, even if you feel like you don't have anyone, if you have like a little bit of family, or sometimes you might have a lot of family, but you're just getting all this advice or you're not getting any advice, it doesn't matter what your situation is, you have to make sure that you're bettering yourself. No one can just jump into your body and just start dictating you and start driving you like it's Ratatouille. You have to make sure that you're doing something for you. You know that you care about yourself. I knew that I cared about myself. I just didn't know the height of where I was going and what I was doing. So just make sure that you're just taking care of yourself, sis, because you want to make sure that you want to make sure that you remain that girl, that you become that girl first, that you remain that girl, and that you can show your children later on how to become that girl or that guy. Just make sure that you elevate in any way that you can. Like I said, I hope this helps at least one person, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great time being that girl. Bye guys.